Hey everyone, Tactics here, and today I'm going to be kicking off a heavily requested Zero to Hero challenge as a DPS spec, where I'll be attempting to pug my way all the way to Keystone Legend. For those that don't know me, I'm a multi-class tank player, but I really haven't done a ton of DPSing ever in my time playing WoW, with my most recent experience coming all the way back from Shadowlands. So I figured it would be fun to see the game from another perspective, and also a lot of people have been wanting me to suffer through the current pug situation, so here you go. In this video, I'll be going through the challenge itself, including all the rules that I'm going to be following and imposing on myself, how I picked the spec that I'm going to be playing in this challenge, and also just my initial plan of approach to get started on my day one. In terms of content from this series, I don't think I personally have the editing capacity to actually put out individual episodes to make a YouTube series out of it. So the focus is instead going to be on stream content. So I will be streaming every single second of playtime, both here on my YouTube as well as over on my Twitch. And if you want to follow my journey, you can check those out. And of course, all the YouTube streams are going to be available on my channel on the lives tab if you can't catch them actually live. Now to start, let's lay down the ground rules for this challenge. First, I want to make sure that I'm not getting invites based on my main character's score, so I've made sure to both disconnect the character I'm using from my Raider.io profile, as well as name change it to something that doesn't include tactics, just to ensure that I don't get invites based on name recognition. In terms of doing content, of course, it wouldn't be a true Zero to Hero without strictly pugging everything, which means no help from guildies, no help from viewers, or just other friends. I'm also going to be taking this one step further, only allowing myself to do either pug dungeon content or delves. That means no raiding, so I won't be able to get access to any raid gear at all. Plus, I'm also going to be ignoring the new dinars that are coming out next week, and will instead earn every single piece of gear that I equip. In that same vein, I will not be using any warbound gear that I've obtained on my other characters, nor will I be sending over Valor Stones once those have become account wide again next week. But something I can't really easily get around is the fact that I have unlocked those account wide Valor Stone and Crest discounts, so I am going to be playing with those. From there, let's talk about how I actually picked the spec that I'm playing in this challenge. As a tank main, I only kind of have the 6 tank classes at max level to choose from, and to make this a bit more complicated, I've geared up 4 of them so far during the start of the patch through my progression for raid and just general playing, and I wanted to start somewhere from kind of ground zero. So all those characters that I've already done some playing on are ineligible in my eyes, which leaves me with the monk and druid because I really don't want to level a new character. For this challenge, I wanted to make sure that the spec that I chose to DPS on was not a full-on meta spec. So again, if we're looking at the Druid and the Monk, that kind of removes Boomkin from the list, leaving Feral or Windwalker. If you go back again to my DPS experience all the way back in Shadowlands, Windwalker was actually one of the 2 DPS specs that I played at the time. And, it's obviously undergone some changes, but I wanted to go for something totally new. And so that left us with Feral. In terms of where my druid is going to be starting this challenge then gear wise, it was actually my raid main back in season 1, so he does have some gear. He's going to be starting in basically full season 1 bis gear at that 640-ish eye level mark. But as I've mentioned, I've done no real content this season that got me gear. I think I did a raid split at the start of the season where I got no gear, so it doesn't really impact anything, and I think it's a pretty fair starting point. We're not going to get the full new character experience, but also, to be honest, I think a lot of the people that are interested in this series are interested in it because of the pug interactions, and doing all the solo stuff initially is kind of not really what people are interested in, at least from my perspective. And 640 is still low enough that essentially every piece of new gear that I get is going to be an upgrade anyways, and just lets me get into the group dungeon scenario much faster. So I figured it was an okay kind of compromise without actually having any gear from this season. Now, at the same time, I also do make my own kind of Weekora UI stuff, and instead of just importing a Feral Druid pack into the game, I kind of wanted to edit it and mess around with it and make my own thing, which was an interesting experience as someone who hasn't really played the spec at all and just kind of lacks understanding and knowledge of the spec. I think I've already done one very significant overhaul after playing throughout my first day, and I'm sure I'm going to make many more iterations over the course of this challenge as I kind of learn more about the spec, what's important to track and what can be ignored. That brings me to my kind of day one of the spec, which I am going to recap for you here as that has already been streamed. So if you want to check that out again, it's in the lives tab on my channel, but here's a quick recap. To start, as I mentioned, I've got no clue what I'm doing. So I opened up the method guide for Feral, imported a Mythic Plus talent build, kind of read through my talents, read through my abilities, the general rotation priority in that guide, what items I potentially am aiming to get, and decided I'm going to test everything out in some solo delves. Of course, I wanted to make sure that I was going to get some decent gear from these delves, so I flew around and got some of those world event keys before hopping into some tier 8 bountiful delves. Again, an advantage of starting at 640 eye levels, I can go straight into those higher end delves, but again, feel like it's a fair trade-off. And we learned a lot from those delves. We did a lot of adjustments to how we were tracking information on our UI. We were figuring out our keybinds, where all my abilities are, pressing the correct buttons, and at the end of it, we did actually get pretty lucky with the drops we obtained. We ended up with 3 champ track items in tier slots, and for me, those are good enough to catalyze. We're not going to wait here to get like hero track or above items because we just kind of want to get going, and we have enough catalyst charges to just kind of rip them to get our 4-piece ASAP. Again, assuming it's champ track gear, I was happy with that. We also did manage to get an underpin encounter in our delves, which gave us a map for a hero track piece, which we got, again, kind of lucky with. We ended up with a mastery crit next, so I was pretty happy. We could have wished for an energy drink, but, you know, that's a bit far-fetched. We did not have the streamer luck on our side there, but still, overall, not a bad outcome. From there, it was time to hop into some group content, so I opened up LFG and started looking for some Mythic Zero runs to get a feel for how the spec actually plays in a dungeon environment and see if I was actually ready to do some low keys or if we needed a bit more practice. I applied to a few different groups, ended up getting to a Dark Flame Cleft run, and overall went pretty good. I was definitely making some very heavy rotational mistakes, and I needed to make a few more adjustments to my UI, but it went well enough that I decided after it was over that it was time to venture into some of those low keys. Now, as I mentioned, I was sitting at 3 pieces of tier at this point, so we were trying to hunt for our 4th tier piece. So I kind of went through the dungeon list and looked for which dungeons dropped shoulders, which was the 4th piece that I needed, and targeted those for my next few keys, and eventually we did successfully nab it from a +2 floodgate run, completing our season 2 4-piece bonus and setting us up for success going forward. Holy, give me something. Wait, did we get 2 pieces of gear? We got Warbound. Oh, it's a dagger. Okay. We hit the shoulders. We hit 4-piece, baby. GG's. So that is the start of my Zero to Hero challenge, the rules, everything. It's been a lot of fun so far, and I look forward to learning more about Feral and kind of progressing through the pug ranks and just seeing if I can hit that Keystone Legend fully pugging as a tank main. Remember, if you want to follow my journey, make sure you check out my streams either on YouTube or Twitch. And of course, if you can't make those streams, you can find all the VODs over on the live tab of my YouTube channel. As always, I need to shout out all my amazing Patreons for supporting me and making content like this possible, and I'll see everyone in the next video.